I think I'm in reverse with a dot. Yeah.
Welcome to episode 165 of the About the Cards podcast, live tonight on YouTube. As always, with host Stefan Loeffler at Junkwax Twins.
Howdy.
Myself, Ben Wilson, at our trading cards, and co-produced by Tim Shepler at Big Shep 79. We are a podcast by collectors for collectors, and we hope to bring you a smart and insightful podcast discussing trading card collecting. We are live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific.
10 Central.
On YouTube, Facebook Live, and Twitch, and I guess now an occasional Thursday night as well. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at About the Cards. We are available as a podcast everywhere. You can find a podcast. Check us out on our website, aboutthecards.wordpress.com. We want to welcome back a really good show friend and guest host tonight, James Kikowski at Philly Puck Fan. How are you, good sir?
I'm doing well.
So it's been a while since you've been on. We really appreciate your time. Before we get really started in this show, anything new in your collecting world since we last talked?
Well, I did have the My Hobby Wire site, and I was in a car wreck in June and still recovering from it. And I was concussed, so I couldn't look at a monitor. So that's going to get shut down. I'm looking to do something else. Hobby-wise, just my usual, taking a paper box to the card shows and going through dime bids and having a good time.
That's awesome. Yeah. So there were obviously a couple of big news events that happened last week. One that dropped on Thursday after our live show Wednesday night. We did have a special episode last Thursday evening with some special guests. If you get a chance, anybody out there listening, go to YouTube or wherever you get this and look up the show that aired Thursday. Big Shep came back for one night only. We also had Chris Harris, Ryan Cracknell, and Paul Lesko to talk about the Topps and Fanatics news. About an hour long. We just wanted to kind of get some first thoughts and hypotheticals and look at this in the abstract. But the case, James, that I want to get to first happened actually on Tuesday last week when eBay it broke up with PWCC and removed them. What were your thoughts when you heard that news?
Wow, well, two companies that are bastions of integrity in the hobby. I say that sarcastically. I hope eBay has the receipts. Well, actually, I actually hope they get tattooed. If there was a way for both of them to lose really badly, I would be for that. But I hope eBay has the receipts, because if not, then it looks like they are trying to take the legs out of a potential competitor by fraudulent means, and that could be serious money, serious damages to them.
I was going to ask that because obviously PWCC came out the next day or same day had a press release that we're looking into all legal options. And for me, as a non-lawyer who uses the word frivolous like others use the word investment, it just came across as PWCC out there saying, "Oh, we're gonna sue," and it's like, come on, now it just looks like you're playing. We got our feelings hurt. You're not really going to sue. What type of lawsuits could they theoretically bring if they chose to?
Well, first of all, is PWCC not able to sell on the eBay platform at all now? Is that what's going on?
That's our understanding, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so number one, if eBay has terms of service, if PWC didn't violate them, then the man hours to list all those items, the money lost, that could potentially be damages. Same thing, if eBay doesn't have the receipts, that could potentially be a civil lawsuit for it's not quite defamation of character, because corporations don't have character, but the corporate version of that. And depending on other impacts that they had, because PWCC has contracts with the the people that are consigning with them, this could be tortious interference of contract. If eBay doesn't have the receipts, PWCC should go for their throat. But if they were doing it and they've been caught, then PWCC should just go hide in the corner.
Yeah.
Well, and Steph, correct me if I'm wrong. If didn't eBay in their initial press release state that PWCC was being removed from their site due to shill bidding? They specifically outlined that was the reason.
I do believe so, yeah.
So you would have to imagine, James, that they've got the data. I mean, it's their internal data. They've got something that would suggest that if you listed something and Steph and I were going back and forth to buy this card and he wins it and I don't, he pays for it, no big deal, right? But now if you're PWCC and there are actual, provable factual evidence that support shill bidding, I would imagine, and I could be wrong, that eBay's probably done enough homework to. This isn't like they just decided, hey, tomorrow we're removing him. I'm sure this was probably a year long, if not longer, coming up with the data and evidence.
If PWCC was galactically stupid, they caught them. Because here's the thing. If, say, the issue with PWCC, Probstein, these other companies is, okay, so I send a card out to PWCC to sell on eBay for me. And I'm using an eBay account, an old eBay account that was registered years ago, and I'm hiding behind a proxy server. How the heck does eBay know? So unless Probstein just told their people, hey, do this, you can do this. Also, I don't know, then that would be galactically stupid. Wouldn't put them past that. Galactic stupidity is a pandemic in this hobby. The other thing is, PWCC probably has in their agreements you can't bid on your own things, but how do you enforce that? So I suppose with IP addresses it's possible. I really don't know how eBay would be able to prove this.
Well, are you familiar with the other lawsuit that just recently, or the story that recently came out about eBay and how they attacked that couple? That's completely unrelated to the hobby. Did you track that at all?
I didn't track it. I saw an article about it in Yahoo, and there's too many lawsuits to keep track of.
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, this couple had kind of early ages of eBay had outlined how to be a good seller and whatnot, and at some point,
the Seeking Alpha couple.
Yeah, and eBay eventually decided they didn't like what these people were writing anymore, and a handful of individuals that worked for eBay went after them and harassed them, and the FBI had to get involved, and vice president at eBay lost their job, and just a big mess. So, I mean, we've all worked in corporate America as well, sans eBay, to know how stupid a lot of these corporations can be. This might get pretty messy, and if like you said earlier, why not? This is a perfect time for both of these companies to lose and go down in a blaze of glory, and let us watch it with our popcorn ready.
Well, I found that in C-suites that you figure when you're outside the C-suite, you figure they're really smart people. When you're inside the C-suite, you really realize that you're still at the middle school lunch table.
Good times. So we'll have to see this. We'll have to have you on again at some point if we get more information, if lawsuits really are fired in each direction, or if PWCC fires some and eBay has to respond, because it'll definitely be fun to watch. This is probably some of the biggest news we've seen in the hobby since the whole Jersey Gate thing happened, I think in 2013. The loss of the license, Topps exclusive license in 2009 when Upper Deck lost it. This happened on Tuesday. 48 hours later, we get hit with like the bombshell of all bombshells. Topps' exclusive is going away. Part of it in 2023. Entirely in 2025, January 1, 2026, presumably that's it for Topps for now. What was your initial thoughts? We're going to get into this a little bit more in the Hobby Talk section, but what were your initial thoughts as a collector when you heard this?
I was pretty surprised that this was. I knew Fanatics was out there and they wanted to get a license. I was surprised that they went and got the baseball license first. I figured that would be the hardest to get. And maybe they did that because all the dominoes are starting to fall now. Topps has been producing, with the exception of Stadium Club, substandard products for years now. Their customer service is almost non-existent, and they haven't treated they've had their exclusive and they've acted like it. They haven't acted like they've had to earn our business, because they don't. If you want to collect baseball cards, your only option is Topps or some of Panini's unlicensed garbage. So you really don't have a choice. So as a collector, I'm figuring the guys at Fanatics are smart enough that they're going to figure out how to get the Topps IP, and their Topps cards will continue. So, I'm just going to continue to put the top sets together until they're not around anymore. It doesn't really change how I collect, though. I'm mostly going back and then getting inserts from the 1990s anyway. So I'm one of the guys who's least affected by this.
So your initial thoughts as a lawyer, and again, we're going to get into this a little bit more in depth here just momentarily, but what was your first thought from a professional level?
Regarding?
I mean, again, we're going to get into a little bit of the antitrust. Mostly antitrust.
This is a nothing. This isn't an antitrust case. I look at it like in 2007, I was a contractor at Department of Justice Antitrust Division. I proved to be probably the worst suited person ever to be a government employee, but that's besides the point. And Topps was trying to buy Upper Deck, and Upper Deck was trying to buy Topps. And I actually had a conversation with the lead investigator, and his take on it was there are other options, and this isn't a necessary, and it falls into the who cares category. So I'm still on that, although sports cards have exploded in the last 3 years. I'm still on a, it seems to be like, if you want a Big Mac, you got to go to McDonald's, right? Well, is it an antitrust violation because you can't get a Big Mac anywhere else? No, you can't get a baseball card from anybody but Fanatics. If you want to collect cards and you don't want to get baseball card, you don't want to get Fanatics, you can collect soccer cards. You can collect non-sports cards. So yeah, you don't have to buy this. This is not necessary. So I don't think there's anything to it. I really don't. But, somebody's going to try it, I would bet.
Oh, I'm sure. Now, like you'd said, obviously, Big Mac is exclusive to McDonald's as the Whopper is to Burger King and so on and so forth. But food is a necessity. Although you don't have to go to fast food. Here, this is a hobby. So is that part of the issue as to why this isn't a antitrust issue? Because at the end of the day, we can all just stop doing this altogether tomorrow? Or is it because these are corporations and companies and it's still...
I really don't see an antitrust issue here, because Panini, if anything, Panini proves it. You can produce unlicensed crap, and there is another option for baseball cards. So I don't see it. Maybe Paul Lesko might have a different take on it. He's more in that arena than I am, but I don't see it.
His whole thing. Not to speak for him, but when he was on the special episode last Thursday, his mindset was if there's an antitrust lawsuit, it probably gets settled out of court. But his whole thing is please let there be some because these are going to be awesome to watch from the sidelines. So he's got more of a rooting interest than a, at the end of the day,
he sure roots for it.
So much of this crap gets thrown at the wall. I had him on the phone. I know you and I had talked on the phone right after the issue where it looked like A-Rod was getting in bed with Panini, and we had invited you on the show, but our schedules just didn't line up. And I talked to Paul as well, and he's just like, God, antitrust lawsuits are just like the most boring thing you could possibly have, and they're pages and pages of just nonsense. But then as soon as the whole Topps thing happened a couple weeks later, he's just like, come to daddy. This is going to be fun. So we'll get into this just a little bit more. We're going to move on to a new segment called This Just In, Listener Mail Day and Polls. This week's feature courtesy of a good show listener, Christopher Schultz at WV_cards_RHEC. First off, Chris has a birthday coming up. So happy birthday from everybody at About the Cards. Mm-hmm. Chris recently went to a show and he picked up some goodies. And he even got a mail day, including a pair of 1988 Topps Frank Tanana through the mail autographs. So he got some fun stuff. It looks like he got a complete set of 1989 Upper Deck. Steph, what were some of the other highlights there?
89 Upper Deck. That's 88, 90 player?
89.
89, yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like there's some Rays, some Pirates, some probably set needs. The Frank Thomas from 90 Topps. Where's the other picture? Oh, there was 3 in this set. Yeah,
And
there
you
you
got
go.
some orange ice.
Some tops of the cracked ice variety, red, orange, green, and then as you put it, the Topps National Baseball Card Day in the Tanana.
What'd you call his last name?
Tanana.
I think it's got the long A, buddy.
It
Tanana.
may, but I'm allowed to be wrong, just like you are when it comes to investing.
So that's awesome, Chris. We appreciate you sharing. What I loved about this when I saw the picture was a lot of this stuff would probably mean nothing to most collectors, but he was really excited about it. And that's what's really cool is getting stuff that meets your PC needs and might be irrelevant to everybody else. And a lot of that stuff was not shiny and new, which makes it even better. Complete sets from the junk wax era. It's not the latest, greatest Bowman Chrome Auto and whatnot. As cool as that is for some people, this was really neat. So we really appreciate him. And again, happy birthday, Chris. We'll see if we can get him on an upcoming show. I know he was excited about maybe being a guest host at some point. So please feel free to share about the cards your recent awesome mail days or pulls. You can tag both Steph and I and About the Cards on Twitter with pictures or a video if you'd like. Try to keep it under 60 seconds and G-rated. You can use the hashtag About the Cards Mail Day, and we will do our best to feature your cards on an upcoming episode. The week that was last week's releases, Topps Living was not live as of airtime last Wednesday. It's kind of funny, the announcement people are like, is Topps going out of business? I saw a few of those jokes on Wednesday. And then the bombshell happens on Thursday. It's like, was this the last of the Living set and we just didn't know? George Springer's card.
And more so now, is it really a living set if it has a deceased date upcoming?
It's living for now.
They should have produced a Topps Now card about how they got bent over.
I saw, I think it was Paul Lesko that had said, now just let Topps Now fly. Obviously, the infamous Odor and Bautista card that never was. It's like, bring back Pete Rose and bring back Joe Jackson and screw it, man. You've got a finality date. Just go. Just whatever. Card 441, George Springer of the Blue Jays, and 442 rookie card, Logan Gilbert of the Mariners. Picture of you versus the guy she told you not to worry about. It's the old vintage Topps logo versus the Fanatics logo.
A guy with his girlfriend looking back at the quote-unquote new hotness with the MLB and Topps and Fanatics logos for those not at home.
So I don't know that we got sold. I didn't see them as of this afternoon sold numbers for Topps Living.
I do not believe they were out.
Also released last week was 21 Panini Immaculate Baseball on the 20th. All of these were actually on 8/20. 2021 Panini Spectra Basketball, 2021 Panini Elements Football, and Topps Chrome. Hot off the presses, new releases this week. The best Topps Living card dropped today. We're on week 181. Card 443, Julio Franco, listed as an outfielder for the Rangers. I would have preferred it to be a Cleveland Indians card, but yes, my long-awaited Julio Franco card is here. And then 444, Eric Haase, catcher for the Tigers. Somebody today had said they still didn't do a Hall of Famer. I'm like, they don't need to do a Hall of Famer, man. They just did Julio Franco. This set can die now, and I'll be happy. So I don't know.
Who from our generation didn't try to emulate that crazy batting stance of his at least once in Little League? Who didn't? That was just yeah. You see that once, you'll never forget it.
Best swing ever. I mean, not the prettiest.
No,
not Griffey, not Will Clark. The best swing ever. And listed on the back, we didn't know this, but most people would argue Hank Aaron or Barry Bonds is the all-time home run leader, right? Depending on if you want to play with the asterisk. But the all-time home run leader, according to this card, is now Julio Franco. I believe it was listed at 2,586 home runs.
Hopefully they fixed that. That's probably hit. It looks like the same as his hits total.
It is, and yeah, somebody made an error on the digital. They also did that with the turn back the clock yesterday. It was Dennis Eckersley, and they didn't change the Ernie Banks name on the back. So the back of the card said Ernie Banks, pitcher, athletics. So I'm really hoping that I get my Ernie Banks Eckersley card, and now my Julio Franco living with him being the all-time home run leader. So I guess they just don't care anymore.
Well, that would be consistent with the way they turned back the clock cards in the 1980s, where you had a pretty good shot at getting the wrong back on those too. So they definitely captured the spirit of the thing.
Well, there was the long time story about the infamous cover of The Little Mermaid, where there was a phallic symbol on the front, and apparently the artist had gotten fired and tried to get that by. And my thought is right now that's what Topps should do. Just screw it, man. Just start adding all kinds of fun stuff for us collectors to enjoy over the next.
More bat knobs.
So moving on, we had Topps Living Star Wars, which dropped yesterday, available through next Tuesday. Card 233, Bib Fortuna from Star Wars Return of the Jedi. And card 234, which is awesome. It's Boba Fett from The Mandalorian. And if you're just kind of spot picking these up as as a Star Wars fan, this is definitely a week to get the 2-pack. I saw this and went, hell yeah, this is a nice looking week. So
I mean, they could have used a much better photo of Boba Fett, but I'm not going to complain too much.
I saw it. I was like, dude, that's awesome. So Topps Sports Illustrated available through next Tuesday, week 24 of 35. Card 47, Catfish Hunter with the A's from 19. There's your Little Mermaid. Catfish Hunter. Catfish Hunter with the A's from 1974, and then card 48, Tommy Lasorda with the Dodgers from 1977.
If you'd like, Ben, I can email that to you or text it.
What, the picture of the Disney?
Yeah, the Little Mermaid. I know you're a big fan of the movie.
I am. I swear, kid you not, every time I'd make a mix CD in the old days when that was a thing, Under the Sea from the Little Mermaid soundtrack. I don't care if it was country. I don't care if it was smooth jazz. I don't care if it was a hip hop. Under the Sea with Little Mermaid was making it on there. That way I never had to go find it. I knew it was on every CD in my car. So
did you put it like every odd track?
No, I just needed like track 13, so I didn't even have to think about it. I already knew what number it was going to be too. Topps Throwback Thursday, available through tomorrow morning. It's set number 33 in the style of 1985 Duran Duran. Card 97 was Tim Anderson. 98 was Fernando Tatis with a short print variation available. And card number 99, Bernie Williams, which is interesting because I think that's the second card of Bernie Williams in recent weeks. So all of a sudden he's getting some hobby love as well. So unless I'm mistaken, maybe it's the same card I'm thinking of. So
those are hideous.
Yeah, but Bernie Williams is kind of, I mean, the design is
awful. And if you're building this set and do you have to order 2 sets? Because what if you get the Fernando Tatis SP and then you're building the base set? So do you buy 2 and hope one of them's not the SP?
Or do you buy 1 and if you get the SP, you just go chase the other one?
Yeah, I suppose you're right. Or
just not buy either. Be done with that.
Yeah, well, that's my pick on that one too.
So, all right. So the big releases. There's only a couple of big boys coming out this week, or larger, more popular releases.
A couple, he says.
2021 Panini Certified Football drops today, coming at you at just around $5,500 a box. You're going to get 10 packs in the box and 5 cards per pack. On the list of things you might pull, one freshman fabric signature and one additional auto per box, 2 mems, 10 inserts, and then 2 rookies or rookie parallels. $5,500 a box.
Am I seeing sticker graphs on a $5,500 product?
That's Panini.
You see, this is why I don't care that Panini's going away.
Yeah,
this is ridiculous. You're paying $110 a card here, and they have sticker graphs on it. This looks like a product that should be $200, guys.
Oh yeah, especially when you're looking at, you're getting one rookie fabric signature and then one additional auto, which means nothing. You have no idea if that's going to be super inexpensive auto or a couple mem cards, some inserts, and some rookie cards. I mean, come on. Like,
how do you? Even if you get the best box imaginable, do you get your money back out of that box? Like, I'm not sure. I'm not really a big football guy, but is there a rookie freshman fabric signature that's going to give you $5,000? Doesn't look like it.
Got to be a Trevor Lawrence chase. That's it, right?
I think that's a case for $5,500.
Did I grab the wrong number? Because I thought that was wrong. My apologies if I misspoke on the MSRP, but we'll get Steph to take a look at that real quick while I move on to the other big release this week, which was Topps Pro Debut. If you want to call that a big release, that also dropped today.
It's $349 a box. That's the case price.
Okay, well that's much better.
I was going to say, Jesus.
Okay, well,
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised entirely with the way products lately have been going. However, that's a slight misspeak on our part.
My apologies. Rewind 2 minutes and forget some of the stuff we said. Not what you're going to get out of them, but Topps Pro Debut also came out this week. $74 a box for hobby, 168 jumbo or thereabouts. If you're into the minor league baseball scene, 24 packs per box, 8 cards per pack. For hobby, you'll get 6 packs with 24 cards in each pack. In the jumbo, the jumbos say that there will be 3 autos in a jumbo box. There are a 200 card base set, 150 are current prospects, and then 50 from the most recent draft. Chrome parallels are an HTA exclusive and come 36 to a box. So if you want to chase a Chrome parallel set or grab Chrome parallels of your favorite minor league players, and then of course you get some autos, and I think there's some mascot stuff in there as well.
And in addition, they brought back the Make Your Pro Debut winner for the Lehigh Iron Pigs. Lehigh?
That's Lehigh Iron Pigs.
Lehigh. That looks like Lehigh. We'll roll with it.
So also releasing this week's the Montgomery Club exclusive Topps Chrome Light dropped yesterday. Maybe today. I know that some people are having some issues accessing that. Also releasing this week today, 2021 Panini Prism Quick Pitch, 2021 Topps Star Wars Chrome Galaxy, and 2021 Topps WWE NXT. And then coming out Friday is 2021 Leaf Pearl Hockey, 2021 TriStar Hidden Treasures Football, and then 2021 Pokemon First Partner Pack and separate release Sword and Shield Evolving Skies. Is there another one, gentlemen, from hockey that
that's in next week's release?
Next week.
Okay. All right. So all scheduled release dates are subject to change, but we're current as of this morning. MSRP pricing and product details were gathered from blowout cards and are subject to change. Check out Ryan Cracknell's articles on Beckett.com/news for more details on these releases. What's brewing next week on September 1st, Topps MLS Chrome Soccer, 2021 Upper Deck Fleer Metal Hockey, 21-22 Panini Chronicles Draft Picks Collegiate Basketball, and 2021 Donruss Optic Basketball.
Baseball.
And then baseball, pardon me. Thank you. And then coming out on the 3rd, 2021 Leaf Trinity Football, 2021 Panini Black Football, 2021 Panini WNBA Prism Basketball, and 2021 Pokemon. Is that Eevee Evolutions tin case?
Yeah, you had it spelled Eeyee. It's
Gotcha.
Eevee.
Okay, I copied that. I cut and pasted directly from Blowout's new release. So that's how they had it.
It's a V, not a Y.
Okay.
But yeah, you had the name right. The theory being that depending on how you raise it and or how you interact with it, you can have it evolve into different types, like a fire, a water, a thunder, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's like the one that has more than just one evolution thereof. In layman's terms.
Gotcha. So some stuff coming out next week. It seems kind of like a lighter month towards the middle to end of this month. I'm sure they're going to probably hit us harder.
I don't say. With my birthday at the end of next month, I don't mind a light month.
That's always nice when you get a week and it's like, oh, that's not going to cost me much. And then, you're an Angels fan. You find out that Project 70, the first 3 days of the week, had one Mike Trout and four showy Otanis. If you saw that video of the gentleman that pulled an Otani this week. So, infield chatter, hobby talk. As I'm sure everybody in the hobby is well aware, Topps and Panini have lost their licenses. We did cover this in depth last Thursday, as mentioned, in a roundtable with some special guests. So definitely check that out if you've not had a chance. Fanatics has purchased the rights to MLB and the MLBPA for approximately 10x what Topps paid, according to reports. The deal is much larger, and it actually includes the NFL and their PA, the NBA and their PA in a joint partnership with Fanatics. It's reported that players will receive a percentage of the revenue. It was reported today by Adam Schefter that the Fanatics deal with the NFL is for a reported 20 years. So little is known as of now, but this is probably the biggest news in the hobby ever. A lot of information is still rolling out. We're still kind of learning things on a day-to-day basis. There's a lot of hearsay and innuendo and rumors. So still, we're going to kind of curb our thoughts long-term as to what's going on. There was an interesting topic. Steph, if you want to grab the tweet from Leaf CEO Brian Gray about when Topps knew. Because we were talking before the show, James, and you had mentioned a couple of things about from the corporate level when your partner. I mean, you'd think that Topps would have known in advance that they were about to be upended. What are your thoughts on? First off, Steph, do you have the tweet from Brian Gray?
Do. Yep, it's ready to go.
You want to read that one real quick before we move on?
Wall Street Journal reports Topps co-owner Michael Eisner on Thursday afternoon had a brief heated call with MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred asking why he hadn't been given a heads up or a chance to counter, a person familiar with the discussion said.
It looked like we got the information about an hour to 2 hours after Topps did it, according to reports. We don't know how firm that is on the details. But when Topps spoke with Major League Baseball, apparently it was already done.
This has kind of got to be like when the players are on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and they see, hey, you've been traded. Hey, how's it going to be playing in Las Vegas or Seattle or wherever? I didn't know that I was playing for that team. I didn't. And then you get the agent's phone call.
What are your thoughts, James, on Topps and whether or not they knew?
I don't think they did. I think this is corporate malpractice that they didn't know. Eisner's group took over in 2007. They've had 15 years to develop relationships with the MLBPA, and I think they figured, hey, we're Topps, we don't have to. Fanatics was out there. They were clear that they wanted to go get a sports license. So I look at it like if you're at a zoo and there's a monkey holding a turd in his hand, and they tell you the monkey likes to throw turds, you get hit by poop. It's not the zoo's fault. You weren't paying attention. Topps wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, you would think that there was a great scene in the Ray Charles movie and in his book, Brother Ray, where he outlines leaving his record label to go to ABC. And he asked his record label, can you guys match what they've offered me? Because they gave him a lot more money, as well as the rights to the Masters, and they're like, if you can get that deal, that's going to be that's a life altering deal and something nobody will ever get, and hasn't gotten up to that point. But Ray Charles was a man. I mean, he's like, hey, can you guys match it or not? Otherwise, I've got to take this deal. It's a better deal. I think most of us in our professional careers have been offered a job with better pay or benefits, or, you go back to your current employer and say, hey, this is what I've got. Can you match it? Most of the time, probably not. You just take it and put it in your 2 weeks. But there are times in this, you're talking about a 70-year relationship that predates everybody in Major League Baseball's offices, obviously, and everybody with Topps.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't even get the courtesy phone call. I mean, if you're being offered 10 times, which is rumored to be in the $600 to $700 million range, okay, you take that deal. But at the very least, you think baseball would call, Manfred would call Eisner and say, hey, so what Fanatics is offering, you got 24 hours, you got 7 days. Can you match it or not? Because at least then Topps could go and try to raise money, bring on new investors.
Yeah, I mean, you think they would at least get a first chance to negotiate, and why they didn't have that in their contract, if they did, or whether it's just MLB jumping the shark, I'd presume not. They've got to have had something in the lines, or something, a gentleman's agreement that got burned on, or something that it will get renewed into perpetuity, that you guys have the license, and then someone stepped up and said, hey, I got money. And
Well,
I mean, it's rumored that they said 10x over what the last contract was, which, okay, I mean, if I'm hitting the free agent market and whatever team wants to offer me double what I was just making, yeah, I'm going to take it. Presumably, being a free agent, I have no qualms about sticking with the current team. However, if I get a better deal and better contract, better years, hey, sorry. It's not like there's an offer sheet like they have in hockey.
The relationship that they had with Eisner's group was only 14 years old. So I don't think that they're thinking about, oh, well, Topps has been with us for 70 years. I don't, especially this baseball commissioner. I don't think he cares about. We've got 7-inning games right now. Yeah, we've got 7-inning games on double headers because apparently 4 extra innings is too much.
And Ghost Runners on second.
Oh, yeah, and lots of other knuckleheaded things that have happened this year with MLB.
Yeah, it's one of those, Alex Rodriguez took a lot of crap in 2000 when he signed with the Texas Rangers, but if memory serves, the Seattle Mariners had offered $100 million less, over a similar timeline. And it's like the Rangers came out of nowhere and blew the Mariners offer so far out of the water. A-Rod could do nothing else besides say, yes, we all would have done that in the same position as he was. Loyalty be damned. The amount of money was absurd. But you would think Topps and baseball would have had a healthy enough relationship at the corporate level, at least to make the phone call and say, this is what Fanatics is offering. And we've all been under the assumption for years that every couple of years, baseball calls up Topps and says, here's the number. Topps says, sure, writes them a check, and the exclusive extends for another 5 years. And we were ready to hear about this next year, the following year, 2023 probably, that it's being extended through 2030. And then we'll all bitch and moan at that time about, oh, exclusives this, exclusives that. But so go ahead.
It's possible that Manfred was looking at the offer from Fanatics of $700 million and said, there's no way that Topps is going to be able to match this. So basically, let's just take the offer. I'll call Topps and not put Eisner in that embarrassing situation.
And depending on how the revenue breakdown is for the players, if it's all for all of the different leagues, I mean, hey, that's not a bad deal from a business aspect. And I'm not defending Manfred because I don't think most sports fans, baseball fans, would or could, but depending on how it all shakes out, the language of the contract might be beneficial for the players. It might allow them more money. And at the end of the day, hey, maybe we get better looking autographs from some of these players that have gotten so lazy because they just don't get paid enough to care.
It could also thaw out the relationship between the MLBPA and the MLB because all accounts, it's looking like they're looking at a lockout because the two sides can't stand each other. Hey, we got you some more money, which is what every argument we have is about, essentially. So perhaps this will help avoid having an MLB lockout, which would be really nice.
Sure. I mean, yeah, that was always the elephant in the room as to Topps' future is what happens on January 1st, next year. If there's no baseball to be had, what happens to the baseball card portion of this hobby? So Mudrick Capital was ready to take them public, Topps that is, and they've now issued a letter to the SEC terminating its prior agreement. So Topps will stay a private company. Something that came across earlier via Sports Card Radio, Topps debt has been downgraded. So bear with me. I'm going to walk through a few things that's extremely interesting, especially if you are a numbers and an economic nerd. Sorry, Steph. Now it's nap time. So Topps has a $197 million loan that is due and will amortize in October of 2022. The CFR or corporate family rating has been downgraded from a B1 to a B2 via Moody's. Included, and it's all alphanumeric.
So like AAA, AA, single A, triple B, double B, single
correct.
B,
similar, but then like in the AA, there'll be like an A1, A2, and A3. So there's like subgrades. So there are 3 different companies that did basically deal with the CFR ratings. Moody's is just one, Stanford and Poor's, and then Fitch are the other 2 big ones. Essentially, Topps was previously seen by the B1 rating as a medium to high risk investment. This downgrade to B2 puts them as a high risk / junk investment based on the Moody's CFR system. Now, similar to the Better Business Bureau, companies do pay the rating systems for favorable grades. When people say, oh, we're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, that means absolutely jack shit. Because my company just paid close to $1,000 to the Triple B to keep our A+ rating. We literally write them a check, and if a complaint comes against us, it basically gets back and forth. People think it's going somewhere, but at the end of the day, it doesn't because we're paying them to sweep it under the rug. If you don't have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, that's a massive, massive red flag because either A, your check didn't cash, or B, you've done some really, really, really bad stuff. So,
or C, you just don't care.
Yeah, so understand that this matters. Really what it does is it might prevent them from refinancing this loan if they try to next year because they might not, credit rating is a credit rating, right? You take it for what it is. A business credit rating, I mean, your revenue stream just got dinged from 100% down to 30% from last year. As of July 2021, Topps apparently had around $190 million cash on hand, but some of that was tied up in gift cards, which are not considered liquid. I don't know what percentage, but even if it was 20%, that means you have $150 million cash on hand approximately. You're not paying back $97 million. Topps, in theory, should have no problem making their first lien payment of $30 million, which is due in April of 2022, with the rest coming due in October. There's really no telling how cash flow positive Topps really is. It just takes a really good accountant to manipulate a number this way or that way. So, glass half full, glass half empty. It really depends on who's answering that question as to who, how cash flow positive a company is. At the end of the day, this is not good for Topps. What are your guys' thoughts?
Well, the Moody's and BBB, they're essentially the corporate version of the mob. So take a rating what it's worth. Topps still has a pretty successful candy and confection They still have soccer for now. They have a couple of other things like WWE. So I don't think Topps is dead, but they could be. This is huge. You're not living on printing WWE and MLS soccer cards. There had been talk for a while that Topps would spin off the confection company and jettison that and sell that, and this might be the opportunity to jettison the whole card wing and just run a candy company.
Before today's announcement here with the debt rating, I was really under the impression that Fanatics was most likely going to sub-license baseball back to Topps. Who knows about football and basketball if they wanted to get into bed with Panini and maybe split up the exclusive licenses and divide them some percentage thereof, and maybe they still do, but there were rumors, if you do the math, that Topps potentially had a valuation of $1.3 billion with Mudrick Capital involved. Now, I would think $400 million valuation, and that's just me kind of reading some tea leaves. Now, do they just outright sell? Just here you go, Fanatics, you write us a check for X, which is going to be right in that $300 to $400 million range. I can't see it being much higher, but even call it $500,000. It's considerably less than the $1.3 billion valuation we had just seen.
Well, so something that I would like to see, whether they don't become essentially what Leaf and previous Leaf, not Brian Gray Leaf, and OPG were, where the naming rights were essentially what were being bought and paid for, not the company itself. You guys keep your staff, you guys keep your confectionery business, but we'll pay for your name to produce cards still, which would be interesting. Topps Chrome brought to you by Fanatics.
That's what's going to happen.
Well, Topps is in a better spot than Panini is. Topps has brand recognition. Topps Chrome, Bowman, Stadium Club. Those things mean something in the hobby. Panini Prism, that ain't worth anything. So Panini's in worse shape. It couldn't have happened to a nicer group of people. But I could see. I would see. I still see Topps as jettisoning the whole card out per section. Say, hey, you're buying RIP, you're buying soccer, you're buying a WWE, you're buying Topps Living, and then I could see Panini doing the same thing.
So I was going to go into a different topic. I'm going to flip it real quick because you brought it up. There's a large inherent value in the brands and the IP that both Topps and Panini have, specifically Topps as it pertains to baseball, because of the heritage, the lineage of what Topps has had for many, many years. I mean, obviously, you got the Rated Rookie and Donruss. There are a lot of things a lot of IP. What's to stop Topps and Panini from going further and trademarking everything not bolted to the ground right now and just start throwing, I'm going to patent and trademark and register whatever the hell I can right now. Just, they've got a finite amount of time, right? A couple of years.
I mean, IANAL, but I don't see why, if their lawyers are wise, they don't start doing that. Chrome is now ours. Topps is ours, obviously. Literally a numbering system. Throw it all at the board, see what sticks, see what you get a license for, and hey, somebody's gonna have to come and pay for it if they want to use that name or that whatnots. This is, I'd presume, where you see some of the more dumb filings like Yellow or Paradappa, whatever that parallel was. Names like that getting attempts. But I'll let the one speak.
I could see them doing that too, but at some point they could make it so these brands are so expensive that Fanatics says, well, no, we're not going to buy it. We're just going to start our own brand, and there won't be Topps cards in 2026. I think this is a company that's mortally wounded, and they've got to sell. They've got to sell a sports card part, and I would do it sooner rather than later. The other possibility that my LGS, we were talking about that. Topps could just let the print presses roll between now and 2025 and just junk wax era version 3.0 and just flood the market, crash wax prices, and here you go, Fanatics. Guess what? We're just handing you a steaming turd now. Enjoy.
And
they could really do that.
So I saw someone suggest just that, where have Topps print everybody that's in the minor leagues. Here's your first Bowman Chrome card.
Yeah,
essentially
you could do that too. Yeah, so you print the first Bowman Chrome card of everyone in the minor leagues. You do that all the way up to 2025, and then there's no Bowman first prospect available for that. There are ways this company could screw them, but at the end of the day, they're going to want.
The topic that I had skipped over real quick, guys, was to go to the IP branding question. Was exactly what you guys just covered, as to whether or not there would be an onslaught of overproduction from Topps and Panini, because you're losing revenue in the next couple of years, and you can forecast what that number would be, whether it be a hard number or a percentage based of past years. They could create an onslaught
for $385 million.
Okay, so he's
going to take a loss.
He's going to take a loss from his initial amount, but then obviously how much profit has he made? How much money has he put in the bank?
And he'll probably still keep the confection part, which will keep spitting money to him.
That's as a portion of Tournant Company, which has an animation studio. It has Topps. It has a bunch of online brands. So, the Netflix show BoJack Horseman, that was their animation studio, amongst others.
Well, and he could always say, give me $385 million, cash me out for my initial investment, which is, now 14, 15 years old, depending on when it, inevitably would happen. But he could also say, kick me back some shares of Fanatics as well. Give me an ownership stake, even if it's small. I don't think Eisner is going to, it's more of a pride issue, I believe. Because if we own Topps, we'd be excited just to own Topps, right? I mean, it's like this is the company that made the 52 Topps set. I think I'd be more pissed off if it were me in his shoes because of what I'm losing as opposed to the monetary valuation, especially at his position. I mean, obviously that's an incredible amount of money to us, but do you guys think they're going to create a flood in the market? Not can they? Do you guys think they will?
I don't think they do. The previous idea that I had suggested with Bowman Chrome rookies going through 2025, 2023, depending on what the whatnots are. I mean, they're minor league players, so I suppose they could go through 2025, different license. As much as I want to see that happen, I just don't see it happening. I don't see them flooding a ton of product out any more than they would anyway. And I'd be surprised if they do.
I could see them producing maybe 20-30% more than they do. I don't think they'll go crazy. But I'm an optimist here, and I'm not usually an optimist about anything. I deal with criminals all day long. I think this is going to wind up being great for the hobby. Fanatics already has baseball, basketball, and football. I think they're going to buy the IP from Topps. They'll probably buy the IP from Panini. They're probably going to buy Upper Deck, period. I mean, these guys are based in Chicago. They're going to want hockey. And then in 2026, we could see Topps Chrome basketball. We could see Upper Deck Young Guns baseball. We could see
Diamond Kings brought to you by Chrome.
Diamond Kings, Chrome Diamond Kings. They might even be able to figure out how to do Dufex again. And our complaint has been it's one manufacturer in control of a sport. And that will be true again. That'll still be true, but there'll be a lot more variety available. So instead of having ridiculous stuff like, what is it, Topps Gallery, where it looks like an 8-year-old drew it, you've got all this different IP from these other sports that you could sub in its place, and we don't have to see hideous cards anymore. So I'm usually not optimistic, but I think that this is going to wind up being great for the hobby.
Yeah, if you turn a 1990 Donruss card over, it's going to say Leaf Incorporated on the bottom. I think 2026 Topps Series 1 will come out, and on the bottom you turn it over and it'll say Fanatics. Plain and simple. I mean, Fanatics doesn't make trading cards right now, and Topps has the manufacturing. They've got the distribution. They have the infrastructure in place. Fanatics isn't stupid. Obviously, the amount of, what are they worth? Like their revenues last year were like $18 billion or some stupid number.
So this is to bring it to a show. This would be like Breaking Bad, Walter White saying, "I had the recipe, but you had the distribution in the streets."
It's really what it comes down to. Yeah. They have control over what happens next, essentially, and everybody else is going to have to participate in their game. It's their ball. And it's not just their ball, it's their baseball, it's their football, it's their basketball, and it might be their hockey puck soon, too. Before we move on...
Just hockey, it's not the hockey puck. I heard that.
Before we move... We've talked a lot of hockey recently. Give me credit for even mentioning it.
This is true, and there'll be more soon.
Yeah, we're trying to get Upper Deck back on the show to talk about some of their fun new stuff.
Nice.
Is the hockey,
new season's coming up.
New season comes up, so maybe James, maybe you can hop on there. So if anybody's on the old social media, let Upper Deck know, hey, send Chris Carlin back our way. We want to talk about what's new and exciting for the 2021-22 season.
With a brand new shirt?
Yeah, so we'll see if we can get either Chris or somebody else from Upper Deck on soon.
Mm-hmm.
One last thought. If you want to move Steph to the next section of the notes.
Yep, I got it.
Hobby Advisor at Breaker Culture brought this up. It's a poll he did on Twitter today. If you're advising Fanatics and you could recommend one brand to buy out of the four major, which one would you advise? Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, or Leaf? Those were his choices. We'll see if we get the current poll results. James, which one would you say to go after?
Topps, for sure.
Steph?
I mean, you can see my results, but I like Eric's answer, all of them.
Yeah, that's my answer too, but that wasn't an option.
Given the four choices, I think Topps is the wiser choice. However, I see them having an easier time with Panini just because of the valuations.
So, and what's you want to read through the current poll results for those listening
so
tomorrow?
371 votes, 9 hours remaining. Topps at 59%, Panini 18.9%, Upper Deck 18.6%, just behind Panini, and Leaf at 3.5%.
Interesting. So yeah, go in there and Breaker Culture and vote on Twitter if you haven't already. Kind of interesting. We'll definitely be readdressing this. Once again, this past Thursday, we had a special episode. Steph and I hopped on. Very short notice, was not planned. We were throwing this together minutes and hours before 8 p.m. And we had Tim Shepler, Chris Harris, Paul Lesko, and Ryan Cracknell on, offering different aspects, whether from the legal side. Obviously Ryan Cracknell works for Beckett, and then, Steph works for ComC and sometimes. And then Chris Harris runs baseballcardpedia.com. So definitely a lot of different insight, and we don't know anything. So again, it's all just speculation and talking about things in the abstract.
Unfortunately, can't attribute this, but I love the topic, and it relates somewhat to the previous one, to the previous poll it was supposed to. But say Fanatics purchases everyone. What one product from each sport would you prefer to have? Like, Fanatics is only going to release 4 products a year. Which 4 products do you want to see?
Well, for Upper Deck, it would have to be whatever's associated with the Young Guns, right? Or am I speaking out of line?
No, base Upper Deck's a good one, sure.
Yeah, for Topps, you would have to, in my opinion, Stadium Club.
Sure.
Although most people probably would lean towards Flagship.
I'm on Stadium Club all the way there. That's the best set every year in baseball.
Panini Prism. For football and basketball, probably, right?
Probably. Maybe like an Optic or a Spectra or one of those.
See, it's so subjective though, because also if you're speculating in football and you want to have the quarterback, I don't know that Prism's going to be the strongest play over something where you can get a solid RPA. Yeah, it's
only sad. If in this world where there's only one football set, then it's your most solid option because that's what it is.
That's all you got, man. There's no Big Mac versus Whopper here. It's just
Big Macs.
That's it. All right, so moving on. If you have any thoughts on Topps and you're out there, definitely drop us a line at About the Cards on the old Twitter. Love to hear your thoughts. I think everybody and their brother and sister at this point has had an opinion. Even Facebook has gotten into the ball game with their expertise. So have some fun if you're on Facebook. So when your investment or speculative play goes horribly wrong, Gage at GDG Cards posted a video. He shows the title of the video sprawled out across it. Quote, when you invest $500,000 in Andrew Luck and he retires. The video shows Gage flipping through a monster box of 2012 Topps Chrome Andrew Luck rookie cards, as well as boxes of graded. There's a great lesson here to be had, if not 50, about diversifying your speculative portfolio. I looked just real quick, some quick eBay sold listings today. A BGS 9 recently sold for $5.03 before shipping. A couple of PSA 10s sold for less than $30. A lot of 4 sold raw for $7.50 before shipping. That was a week ago on the 14th. And then right now there are 3 total listed on Sport Lots for $7.50 to $8 each.
So somebody called him out and said, "I don't think that's your video. Can you prove it?" And yeah, there he is. There's all seemingly over 4,200, 5,000 cards.
I don't know why anyone would lie about this.
Right.
Yeah.
People, stop doing this. These are 2.5 inch by 3.5 inch pictures of other men. Stop doing this. They're not investment vehicles. They are speculative plays at best, and sometimes speculations goes wrong, really wrong. There was a guy who had 23 of the 25 orange, Bowman Chrome orange Oscar Tavares autographs. He had put $60,000 into it. That was back when those cards were not insanely priced. Although $60,000 was insanely, still seemed insane. They were like $1,200 to $15 a piece. When sadly he died, that investment went to crap. Andrew, a football player, is one hit away from retirement.
Especially quarterbacks.
Any football player, but stop doing this. Don't put any money into this hobby to try to do a speculative that you can't afford to lose. So if you had $500,000 that you could afford to lose, well, hey, buy a house or a couple of houses and rent them out. Stop doing this. This is ridiculous.
I saw this and I thought of you, Ben.
Go ahead and read it so that people
so it's a guy
listening.
sitting at a table across from someone else with a huge bag of chips behind him and a bag,
potato chips,
the plate or bowl of chips on the table, and he says, "They're the ones giving the chips away. If they don't see the arbitrage potential, sucks for them." In a deep sense, society functions only because we generally avoid taking these people out to dinner.
Yeah. On one hand, I feel bad for Gage. I mean, even if he theoretically could get his money back, let's say, if they're selling for, $5 raw, $8 raw, and he could get, that's what he paid for them. So he could theoretically cash out. You're not going to find enough people to buy them off of you. And that's the problem. You might be able to move a handful of them, 5% of these, 10% of these over time. But I tell my dad this all the time when he's like, "Oh yeah, hey, I can pick this up for the X and I can sell it for Y." It's like, but how long are you going to have to sit on it in order to cash that out? And give me $1 today. I can spend it today and make it work for me today, even if I could potentially get $2 tomorrow, because there's no guarantee tomorrow ever comes. So
I just wonder, surely somebody in his family or some friends knew he was doing this. He didn't do this in the corner. Where was somebody anyway saying, for the love of God, stop? Like, I think at $10,000, it's time to stop.
And don't call me Shirley.
Okay.
But so, no, I mean, I obviously super collect a player, but it's all dollar cards, and they're never going anywhere.
Yeah, you're not expecting the second-year Maguire card that you collect to. Just kidding, Ben. I know it's a rookie card, but you're not expecting those cards to go to $100 and a cash out. When they got to $7, you would have been smart to cash it out. But those were your Maguires, and I don't blame you for hanging on to them. But this was done specifically with the idea that he was going to probably turn this into $1 million when Luck went into the Hall of Fame, and well, it didn't. Stop doing this.
Yeah, when it comes to collectibles, and I don't care if it's our hobby or the next hobby or whatever, always whenever you make a purchase, look at it like a sunk cost. Buy it for the enjoyment of it, and if you happen to make money on the back end, good for you. But if you lose money, it's not a big deal because your initial upfront cost was considered sunk to begin with, and obviously that's not where the state of the hobby is currently, but. Whatever I buy, I look at it like, hey, when I spend $5 on this parallel of that card, I'm using my Starbucks money, so to speak. And I drink the Starbucks cup and it's gone. It's done. I still have the $5 card. And if I'm dead and gone, or if I ever got into an emergency where I had to offload stuff to pay for something, I'll get what I get for it. And if I made more than the $5, great. If I get $1 or $2 out of it, I'm desperate. Great. At least you still have this item to sell. But yeah, when I saw that, I was just like, oh boy. And a lot of people tagged me on it just because he had used the word invest across it. And I really do feel bad because I really hope he wasn't spending money he couldn't afford to lose. And, good luck to Gage. So kind of funny. We just happened to have you on this evening, James. This came across this week. Petty theft versus felony at TJ Card Collector via @RookieCardPapa, who's the one that actually tweeted it out. There was a Twitter account @PrismHanger. He purchased a card from TJ Card Collector, I believe through Twitter. I could be wrong on the specifics, but I believe this happened through Twitter, presumably through PayPal. And again, I could have the details wrong. That's just my assumption. PrismHanger blocked TJ Card Collector. He waited until 12 days after a purchase had arrived from TJ to initiate an $1,800 chargeback, again, presumably through his credit card company. So now he's getting his money back as well as owns the card. Again, he's blocked TJ. According to a tweet from TJ, a felony theft in Ohio registers after the item is $1,000, also known as grand larceny. Is this something that the authorities would or could pursue?
Well, so in addition, wouldn't that also be cross state lines, federal whatnots,
Mail fraud?
Mail fraud, exactly.
Yeah. That's probably his best is to get in touch with the Postmaster General, because that's federal, and you get sentenced to 5 years for something in federal court, you're going to serve 4.5 of it. You're not going to get a ton of time off for good behavior. So
a good boy.
But what has to be proven here, which is probably fairly easy, is that there was an intent to defraud. So did the card actually arrive? I'm assuming he tracked an $1,800 card and signed for it. And so if he did, and he has possession of the card, if the card's defective, he has to send it back and ask for a refund, and then he can initiate a chargeback if he didn't. So it seems likely that this guy knew exactly what he was doing, and I would go with the Postmaster General on this. And yeah, TJ could potentially go after him in civil court to get $1,800 back, but it may cost him a few $100s to do it. But he could file a complaint in the civil court basically that's Ohio's equivalent of night court, and just appear and get a judgment, and then he has to collect a judgment. So there's a lot to it. I think the Postmaster General is the best way to light a fire to get this guy to do the right thing here. And this prism handler guy or hanger guy, it might already be too late for him. He might be past the point of no return. Postmaster General is not likely to accept, well, I sent it back. He might already be done.
Interesting. Yeah. If we get any additional details, we'll continue to report on this. In the meantime, at Prism, spelled with a Z, Prism Hanger, definitely give them a block. Not worth your time. Is the account gone now?
I don't know what you, but doesn't exist.
Yeah, he's got another account by now. He's going to do this again.
Yeah. Just be careful. And if TJ's out there, if we can report what this person's real name is, if we have it, it'd be nice to be able to circulate that as well. Just so people are aware. And again, whenever we have a situation that's secondhand like this, you take this for what it's worth. This is one side of the story. We don't know the entirety of the story, but it's better to block and move on. If you're aware of somebody, don't do business with somebody that has come under suspicion, especially when there's some semblance of proof. It's just not worth your time. That's just my opinion. So
also, if the card had been destroyed en route, because we've all gotten something from the post office that we're sorry this happened to your package, and there was insurance on it, they certainly could have filed an insurance claim. So this is Prism Hangers in pretty bad trouble if TJ's got his actual name and contact information.
Well, let's hope so. If the story is true, let's hope he has it.
If the story is true, let's hope he does some prison time for this, because this is theft, flat out. If you stole an $1,800 car, took it across state lines, that would be federal too.
Yeah, and again, we're not trying to challenge TJ's integrity in this. We just want to put that disclaimer out there that this is, we're just sharing the information that was presented on Twitter. That's the only information we have. So we're not taking sides. We're just throwing it out there that this was the information that we're aware of. And again, that's not, trying to anything bad about TJ. Moving on, the IRS strikes again. We know that the IRS has been a hot topic over the last year or two as to how you pay taxes on these items you're selling. Pull a high dollar item out of a pack and sell it for considerable profit. This came via Ivan at Watch the Breaks, and he stated, "Are you familiar with the IRS Form 8300? You should be if you're dealing in high-end trading cards. According to the IRS link and what the form states, you must file the Form 8300 if you receive over $10,000 in a single transaction or related transactions." This was curious to me. I was not familiar with this form myself until I read through it. This is not a year-end filing. This is not something you're filing in April of 2022. You have 15 days from the date of the transaction to report it to the IRS with this form. Then you will also need to provide a written statement to the party or parties involved by January 31st of the following year that the transaction occurred, which would fall in the same timeline as companies that have to issue W-2s and 1099s. That has to be done by the end of January. So, in other words, if I receive $10,000 from James for a card, I have to report it with this form immediately right now in August, but I have until the end of January to let him know that this has been reported to the IRS, presumably so that he now can put it on his taxes. How many people at the National sold cards over $10,000 who have now missed that 15-day cutoff?
Nearly all.
Probably all of them.
No, and as it does mention here, the Form 8300 report of cash payments over $10,000 in a trade or business provides valuable information to the IRS and Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FINES, in their efforts to combat money laundering. Money is laundered to conceal illegal activity, including the crimes that generate the money itself, such as drug trafficking, tax evasion, and terrorist financing. Now, obviously, that For the most part, those three didn't happen at the National. However, I have heard of this just through enough of investigative discovery shows late night, but not that there was an actual form that you have to fill out. Every mafia movie, well, I'm going to sell it for $9,999.99. No doubt.
But do not buy them a soda, because that soda has a value, and now it's a related transaction. So if you accept $99.99.99, and
So I've heard of this, but I didn't know that there was an actual form to fill out. It would be really interesting to see how many actually do get turned in the industry, if any.
Hey, it's just a hobby, right? We don't need to report these earnings.
Well, no, I mean that's where the college student that works over the summer that made $400, should he report it to the IRS? Technically, is he going to? Probably not.
Well, there are federal limits to how much. I think it's used to, at least last I had done taxes, I think it was $12,000 was the threshold. If you don't make that in a year, you don't have to file. My thought was you're probably you're still probably eligible for a refund at that rate, and it's always a good thing to get it moving in the system. So I would always recommend, even if you did make $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, go ahead and file. There's a difference between what you should do legally versus what you should do. I say that all the time on the IRS. Technically, you should, especially if I'm trying to be an ass to somebody and prove points. Versus, I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying you should. So,
the credit card processors, there are some that will automatically notify you and that you have to file an ED300.
I think PayPal as well.
Yeah, but if you're doing a cash transaction at the National, first of all, I don't know who's walking around Chicago with $10,000 cash, but that's besides the point.
10-year-old kids.
If it's a cash transaction, I don't think they ever sell it. I don't think they'll ever report it.
No, it's. Technically, you should report income received, profit received off of your garage sale next Saturday. If you want to get technical by the letter of the law, but nobody's doing that, because odds are you're buying donuts and pizza with that money anyway, and you're probably not bringing a whole bunch of money into the house when the garage sale is done. So,
well, but that's why I was buying Panini Prism Blasters, was to flip them to buy kids' diapers. Come on,
that's right. I know. So, at the end of the day, if you have a tax professional doing your taxes, especially if you're dealing with high-end products like this, definitely consult your personal tax professional for their advice. Or find one. And don't rely on people like me on the Twitter. But, for general questions, it's always okay. But something like this, you definitely should be talking to somebody serious, especially that's state-specific to where you live. Because you definitely don't want to come back and get audited and dinged big time about something like this. I don't know what episode number there is, but Dr. James Beckett had covered this on one of his more recent episodes over the last couple of months, talking about tax implications pertaining specifically to the hobby. And if you're out there listening and you are a tax expert that can answer some questions, we'd love to have you on, and we'd love to kind of talk to you about some of the more specifics. I know enough just to get myself in trouble. I'd like to have somebody that is actually a expert on. Because I think it would definitely do some people some good to kind of understand.
Episode 535.
535, yeah. That was a good listen. So, all right. So I know we're
If you're selling... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to move on to the next topic.
If you're consistently selling $10,000 cards and you don't have a CPA, I'm questioning how you got to sell $10,000 cards.
Target flippers. Like Steph alluded to, these guys are rich, and gals.
So, I know we just discussed Ivan, but here he is again, via dodgy trousers. Hey Topps, Jeff Carlson played one of the Hanson brothers in the movie Slapshot. Is not the same Jeff Carlson who played Zoe.
Zoe, I would imagine.
And All My Children, this 2021 Ginter card has the Slapshot Jeff photo on the front and All My Children Jeff bio on the back. Now, Ginter is known for its shenanigans. However, I don't think this is the shenanigans that they're getting after. So, like it mentions, here's the photo with him in his blue airbrushed out jersey. And Jeff Carlson, actor, broke new ground, not in Slapshot, when he joined the All My Children cast in 2006 to play Zoe, who was the first daytime drama character to come out as transgender. Jeff's mother, who's a longtime fan of the show, actually named him after one of her favorite characters, Jeff Martin. Carlson trained at New York's Juilliard School and made his acting debut on Broadway. No, the Jeff Carlson in question has 3 IMDb listings for Slapshot 1, Slapshot 2, and Slapshot 3, and did not study at Juilliard. And he looks much like
that we're aware of.
Not like that person.
Yeah, is there a corrected version of this card? Or are they all like that?
Let's go. Sure.
I would imagine they thought they did a good job. Hey, we got Jeff Carlson's bio. They did get a Jeff Carlson's bio, but not the real Jeff Carlson.
Well, but then did they buy the right jersey relics?
If you're a fan of The Office,
event,
I think it's the first episode when Jim sticks all of his pencils up between his desk and Dwight's, and Dwight starts smashing him, and Jim looks at the camera and says, "See, this is why I don't think that downsizing is a bad idea." This is the kind of crap that Topps has done time and time again to us that makes me think, you know what? Topps losing the license might not be the bad, and the worst thing for the hobby. Yeah, poor Jeff Carlson probably called everybody in his phone saying, "Hey, I get a Topps Allen and Ginter card." 40 years after
the question of what's Allen and Ginter. Actually, no, it does look like even in the base card, they have the All My Children flavor text.
So the question is, who was supposed to get the card? Was it Jeff Carlson, who was Jeff Hansen, or Jeff Carlson, who's Zoe? So they both might have called their families and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna get an Allen and Ginter card," and they both kind of did.
I would presume that they have the other 2 Hansen brothers, Carlson brothers. That's not the All My Children character, despite the. Apparently, someone was snoozing and watching daytime soaps last year because their mind was on one Carlson, and it's not this one.
Oh, good times. So, yeah, enjoy if you're somebody that likes to collect things that are off the beaten path. I know our good buddy Paul Lesko does. This is definitely something to add. I don't know if it's an error card necessarily. I think it's just
uncorrected.
Just a whoops by somebody that thought they had done the right thing and pulled the right bio and didn't. So
this is why copy editing is both inexpensive and should be mandatory. Hire me, Tom.
So, at Johnny71 Cards had sent out a tweet, and he made a boo-boo. I think he thought he was doing the right thing. He was at a card show, and he and the seller were negotiating. And Johnny says, "I'm not going to go that high due to there being lower comps, presumably on eBay." Again, comps has turned into this dirty word into the hobby. The seller said, "Did you factor in shipping?" Johnny said, "You want me to pay shipping on a card in front of me?" And Johnny thought he was right. So remember, you need to factor in all final value costs into your comp, not just the soft sold comp.
So there's that. But as a buyer, that's really not his concern. He sees a seller say, "Hey, I want $15 for this." You check eBay and a couple other sources, wherever, and see that they most recently sold for $5, and you offer $7. Fair. The buyer tells you, no, I don't want it. Did you include shipping? My immediate response is, hey, did you include the 20% PayPal?
Yeah, but
somebody else included. I mean, as the buyer of the card, he has a point in that it's not his concern to bundle in all of these extra fees and all of these extra charges. That's on the seller.
Let me use a different example. Recently, my dad was at he has space at a local antique store, and he was talking to one of the other vendors who wanted to buy a plate from him for $20. And she looked up on eBay and said, comps suggest that this plate is worth $13. And my dad said, but you're not factoring in shipping, because if you were to buy it off of eBay, it would come off, once you pay for shipping and tax, it'd be $22. So actually I'm cheaper than online comps. And she's like, no, it says 13. And they go back and forth in this little song and dance. What she wasn't getting, because she's like, well, that extra money's going to the post office. And it's like, look, lady, it still has to come out of your bank account. It doesn't matter where the division of economics are. Yes, you're right. The hard cost of $7 is going to, 13 goes to the seller, 7 goes to the post office, $2 goes to the state of California. Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, $22 exits your account, being the point that Johnny was missing. If he's like, hey, I'm not paying $15 because the other one is suggesting it's 12, and the seller retorts and says, hey, wait a minute, you're going to have to pay $5 to get it here, so it's technically 17 out of pocket. And if the guy came back to me and said, well, what about your fees? I'd say, what about your taxes? Because those are going to offset one another. At the end of the day, my hard cost is cheaper to you, and you get to take it home right now. If you don't want it,
be cheaper though.
If you want it, piss off. I would imagine the comp was within reason. It wasn't like it was 15-5 like you illustrated. Because then the seller's a dum-dum in that case. I'm assuming they were with where the shipping would have elevated it past, that online comp.
Well, then, yeah, sure. But I mean, again, it would really depend on what the prices are. But if I'm the buyer and something sold for $5 and they have it priced for $40 or $960 for a blaster box, when I can go to Target and get it for $20, presumably you can find it. Well, not Target, bad example, Walmart, and get them for $20. Then I can hold out and wait till someone sells it for $20 when it all gets devalued in 5-6 years. As the buyer, as Johnny was pointing out, he has the right to walk away if he thinks the other guy is negotiating in bad faith. However, you do also have a point in that the prices should be compared, but not necessarily mandatorily and arbitrarily being held to.
Well, how many times in the past? It's a little different in this environment, so bear with me for just a moment. But let's go back 5 years before everybody and their brother could go online and buy a box of cards at the same price from a distributor that an LCS had. You could buy it for $100 just like the LCS did, but you'd pay $130 with that 30% markup because you get to open it right now. You don't have to wait 2 or 3 days. And so you're paying above market. You're paying their markup to have that instant gratification. Again, going back to what I was saying about the plate, the lady was looking at $13 without factoring in all of her associated costs, just the listed price, which is not the final value. She would have to look at what would it cost me, what's going to exit my bank account when I complete the eBay purchase, which in this case was higher than what my dad had the item listed for. Not to mention you can inspect the item, you can look at the item to make sure it's exactly what you want. You're not going off of pictures taken. You get to take it home right now. And again, my dad is in front of her, so she could have asked, hey, you want 20, will you take 18? You take 16, you take 15 for it. And he says yes or no, that's on him. She has the right to walk away. She has the right to go onto eBay and make that purchase. But I imagine Johnny, and again, I don't know all of the details, the card in front of him probably was cheaper than his final value would have been on eBay, even after you factor in his tax, less the seller's fees, which probably offset themselves within reason.
Play this or that game. Be smart with your purchases, people. Johnny's free to walk away. Seller's free to say, I'm not selling it for anything lower than this. Take it or leave it. I don't. If I'm set up at a show, and I haven't done this in a long time, set up at a show, but I don't think I'm going to say, did you factor in shipping? Because if he's checking eBay comps, he should be thinking about that.
It just seems a little bit obnoxious, but Johnny seems pretty obnoxious too. I think they both suck, frankly. But
encountering what I knew Ben was going to say is essentially what I would agree to, is that they're both wrong.
Yeah, but this is sounds like he's making a mountain out of a molehill here. Ooh, bad seller at a local show in Ohio or wherever. Yeah, so what?
We all and again, at the end of the day, whether it's the plate at the antique store or a trading card at a card show or card shop, they're hobbies. This isn't food.
That explains it. Sean, he's a Canadian.
Do we factor in the USD conversion rate?
And getting something through Canada Post is a pain in the neck right now.
Right. Shipped on time, no less.
I'll be 100% honest, and I don't do this very often. I don't overpay for cards, but our good buddy, you probably heard of him. His name is Tim Shepler. He and I were at a show one time, and I overpaid for a Matt Olson, whatever card. It was a pre-baseball, college card or something, and I didn't have it. I knew I didn't have it, and I paid more than what eBay comps would have been. Even, my final value. Still paid $3 or $4 because I got to take it home. And there's got to be some inherent value in that to be able to say, you know what, this card's going home with me today. I don't have to go on eBay, even though it'll be cheaper. I don't have to wait 3 to 5 days. I don't have to deal with that hassle. I get to take this home and enjoy it. And once in a while, that's okay. And at the end of the day, comps are guides, not Bibles. We even talked last week with Dr. Beckett about this, understand what you're purchasing. Comps are nice. They're there to help us, but they shouldn't be the end-all be-all.
Yeah, you're right. If there weren't an inherent value in being able to take something home, we wouldn't have card shops. We wouldn't have card shows. We just have eBay and Amazon. These things wouldn't exist otherwise. So
yeah,
you're right.
Topps Bunt and Topps Walking Dead, and that's right. Those are presumed, for those that haven't seen, those are presumed dead in the water January 1st.
The Walking Dead, I heard. I wasn't certain about Bunt, but yeah, that was not in the show notes, so thank you for bringing that up. I don't understand the digital craze with these apps. I've had them on my phone, open up the free packs.
Wrapping up its final season, at least the main show. There's going to be a movie, apparently. There's an offshoot show, but the comic is done. The main show is ending. It makes sense. So they'd wrap up the online tie-in.
But what happens if you spend all of this real money on this app, and
I hope
now
you enjoyed what you paid for and the time that you had it?
I mean, I've got a game here. My wife Heather plays a lot of games, and so I'll see all these Google Play $8 here, $10 there. If she decides not to play the game tomorrow, we've wasted all that money, so to speak. She enjoyed it in real time.
Sure.
But the game lives on and on and on. But if the game decided tomorrow we're unsupporting it and that game doesn't exist anymore,
right? I've
lost all that money.
See, this is where me and Angela had a disagreement when we were looking at new consoles, because this, unless the disk drive dies, will never disactivate my ability to play a game. This, that's digital only, if their marketplace goes down, she's locked into what the games are on that are on there, legally speaking. There's other ways around that, but no comment. Legally speaking, she's locked into her digital purchases, and I can take the show MLB disc right over my shoulder, plop it in the PS5, and presumably play it until the disc drive dies or the PlayStation dies.
That was my whole argument about when Heather tried to get me into digital books, and she's like, "You can carry it around on your tablet or phone and open up the app," and I'm just like, "I'm sorry, I like holding an old paperback book. The paper has a certain smell to it. You can turn the pages. To me, holding a book in my hand is way cooler than holding one of these in my hand, an old phone it's just, come on, man. Not everything has to be. that whole digital thing that I've got a JPEG on an app that a third-party company supports. It's like, let me hold it in my hand. I want to hold the piece of cardboard.
It's a moot point, but they actually have an adapter for the Kindle that will spray the smell of old book.
Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah, Ben, you and I are part of the last generation that's not completely comfortable doing all this stuff with technology. Stefan and
I'm
that
very,
age group and younger
I
are
don't like it.
Most of the younger generation is completely fine. It blows me away when my daughters want to spend their money on things for Minecraft. Like, why are you paying for gems in a game that is free? Come on, this is silly.
But it doesn't do
that's
the dance
just a wave of the future. Yeah, that's just the wave of the future.
Yeah,
no, that change really started with ours, and even more so, it's widely accepted in the next generation. I mean, everybody in our friend group is saying, "Well, why don't you just get Spotify? Why don't you just get Spotify?" Like, the difference is, and Spotify is nice for the service, presumably that it pays, but if Spotify goes down or they disable Prince being in the category or name artist here, me having physical storage of the MP3 files, it doesn't go away unless my drive dies.
I still make mixed CDs for the car. I'll make you a mixtape, Steph. I'll email it. I'll fax it to your pager.
Okay.
So we
know
have
those and the AOL CDs made really good shotgun practice.
We have one final topic. We'll have a little bit of fun here. If you follow me on Twitter, I do the shit you see on eBay or Facebook. This one kind of came across and was like, seriously, you see a lot of dumb stuff being sold on eBay. Canadian card dude at La Petite Carte or La Petite Carte said, today's idiot of the day on eBay. The seller is selling a Nate Pearson Superfractor, but he's not. He's just selling the picture of the Superfractor. As of August 22nd.
1-1 Topps Chrome Rookie pick, not card. You will get a picture of the card.
Or you can just right click on it and save it and we can all have it.
Exactly. Like you gave it to me when you put it in the listing.
We're airing live on August 25th. As of August 22nd, 3 days ago, it was selling for $435, but it did offer free shipping. So there's that. So please go onto eBay, right click on it, and then we all can own it. We can all have copies for free, and one knucklehead will own one for $435. I imagine this either goes unpaid for because we're having fun with it, or it'll go paid for with a chargeback when the guy realizes he didn't read the description and the Nate Pearson Superfractor never does, in fact, show up to his house.
Does this seller actually have the Pearson Superfractor? Because it'd be a shame if an idiot had that card. That's going to be a good one.
I don't know, but it certainly is funny.
There's no pictures of the back on there. He probably just got the picture from somewhere else.
You see all kinds of dumb stuff, people hand drawing stuff now, and they're selling for $86,000. This stuff's not really getting paid for. I think people are just having fun on eBay, but I really do hope in this case that's all it is, and somebody's not really having misread said eBay listing.
As an update, this apparently ended on August 22nd. Let me move the tab over. Here we go. Nate Pearson, Super 1-1 Topps Chrome Rookie, $435 Canadian, approximately $345.59 US. Shipping is apparently 1 cent Canadian and international letter post, which, yeah, okay. However, yeah, that seems to be the listing.
That's incredible.
And no, there is not a picture of the back.
All right, right click on it, Steph, and happy birthday. I just got you a Nate Pearson Superfractor picture for your birthday. Look at you. Look at you.
Here,
Who needs Topps bunt when we have right click buttons and download folders? All right.
Ben, do you want a copy? It's right here.
I do. Yeah. Put it in the group DM. That way we all can have one.
There's another. I now have 3 supers.
3 supers to go with your 3 PS3s. So before we get into final thoughts, we do want to thank all of our special guests from the special episode last week. Chris Harris at Stale Gum and baseballcardpedia.com. Ryan Cracknell, Trader Cracks on Twitter, and of Beckett and Paul Lesko at Paul_Lesko. And of course, co-producer Tim Shepler, Big Shep 79, who at the last minute said, F it, I'm coming on tonight. Let's do it. We want to thank them for hopping on last Thursday night to try to dissect the initial information of the Fanatics and Topps announcement. So hop on to the old YouTube and give that a listen.
Unfortunately, I have to downer notes to end on here. One show listener, friend of the podcast, Texas card dude, Brad. His dad passed away recently, last day or so. So we wish him the best, and we're sorry that this happened. And I hope you pull through. And then as well, friend of the show, one of the early supporters of the show, Brian Bice, his daughter Carmen would have been 10 years old today.
Yeah, she was a sweetheart. We went out to breakfast not too terribly long before she had before the good Lord called her home. She was an absolute angel. So, prayers to Brian and Melissa from everybody at About the Cards, or thoughts if you prefer. But the Bices are very good people. The world needs more of them. And unfortunately,
at Bice Music on Twitter.
So, any final thoughts before we head out, guys?
How long until hockey gets bought up? No. Nothing for me. I've had some interesting show pickups. I have a show, knock on wood, family obligations aside, a show this weekend with Dr. Beckett wanting to record another content creators special. If I don't have said family obligations, I will be there Saturday to record said show, and Rich has wrangled me into showing up on Sunday to help him pack up his table, as well as to be at the show anyway. So maybe look on the social medias for some pickups or whatnots. Unless I get pulled away.
If Jeff Wilson's there, give him my best and let him know I'm still waiting for a response to my email that I sent him months ago.
Okay.
So any final thoughts, James?
We've got to end this on a high note after all the negativity that we've been talking about. So hockey season starts in 7 weeks. I've got it on my calendar. Early, just keep your eye out on Alexander Holtz. He's going to be a winger for New Jersey, probably the best pure scorer in the draft last year. Could with riding shotgun with Jack Hughes, could be a 40-goal scorer as a rookie. So if you're lucky enough to pull his young guns, don't sell it. Hang on to it. Also, I was really nervous about being the guest host that followed Dr. Beckett, so I'm very glad that this went well, because that's kind of like following the Pope when you're going to give a sermon. So glad it went well.
No, we really appreciate you hopping on. We were trying for a few weeks now, and I'm glad you were able to make it tonight. In fact, speaking more hockey next week, we have a couple of special guest hosts that we've been talking to for quite some time. Sal and Tim, they've got a podcast. Steph, do you know the podcast offhand? It's a hockey podcast.
I'm drawing the blank on the name of it.
And
Punk Junk?
Is it Punk Junk? That's what Sal's handle is on the old Twitter. And then Tim's is the Real DFG, I believe. Both good follows, great guys. We look forward to having having a roundtable. I think we're going to try to do a cross promotion. They're going to come on with us, and then
We're gonna
come on over there. And because they talk hockey, I'm just going to sit there and listen because I won't have anything to add. But we look forward to them. And then 2 weeks from now, on the 8th, we're going to have Andrew with Bayside back on. And then on the 15th, Garrett New at G New Cards. And then, we've got a couple of open dates later in September. And a good partner, good buddy of mine, Jeff Soxie, fellow economist, will be on in late September. And then we are reaching out and hopefully going to be able to get Upper Deck on and maybe some of the Project 70 artists. We have reached out to Alex Pardee and Lauren Taylor. And we're still hoping that we can get Jared Kelly from the Topps Living Collection on. And so a lot of exciting guests hopefully coming up in the weeks to come. And if you have anybody you want to see on that we didn't mention, or ones that we did mention because we're still, trying to get them on, definitely put a, give them some on Twitter or something so that they know that we're definitely interested. So remember, we're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific.
10 Central.
On YouTube. Make sure to subscribe and review our show on all platforms. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at About the Cards. You can follow Steph at Junkwax Twins. You can follow me at Our Trading Cards. James, where can we find you?
At Philly Puck Fan.
And you're only available on the Twitter?
For now, that's pretty much what I got right now.
Sounds good. And he is the biggest Pittsburgh Penguins fan we know. Please share your hobby stories.
Barf, barf.
Send your questions our way. We appreciate each and every one of you. And stay tuned and keep collecting.
See you guys next week.